time to talk about what we're going to talk about here real quick.
All right, let's do it.
And we're getting out of here. So, Donald Trump got levied with almost a $500 million fine. It was $470 something million, and he had to pay it before he could appeal. Like, they're like, you have to pay this. So he has to come up with that money. So he is, as he should be, furious about that because it's egregious, beyond egregious.
Yeah.
So he's able to pull together that money from his own wealth. Maybe he borrowed some, maybe he didn't. I don't know. It's none of my business. He's a billionaire. That's all I know. All right. And so he goes to pay the bond in the morning. And before he goes in to pay the bond, they're like being snarky with him outside. And he was like, this is the biggest, given the Trump thing. Like, he's like, this is terrible for our country. It's corruption. It's whatever, which none of what he said was wrong and 100% right.
Yep.
And it's all politically motivated, which we all can see plain as day.
And what do they do?
He goes in, he goes in, and right as he's turning around, some guy goes, how are you going to, what did he say? What collateral do you have to cover your bond? And he turns around, he looks at me, he goes, cash. Right to this dude's face, right? So then he goes inside and he finds out the appellate court said, you know what? That 500 million is a little egregious. So we're going to reduce it to 100 and something million. So you pay your bond to 100 million instead of this 500 million. And we'll give you another 10 days to come up with the money or whatever you might need to do, because this is all ridiculous. Right? And the appellate court knows that the case is coming back to them for the third time, and he's going to get appealed again. And then that's going to be it. It's just going to be a waste of money for Trump on lawyers and stuff. But in the end, it's worth it. Consequently, on the same fucking day, Truth Social's merger gets approved and goes public.
Mm-hmm.
In 8 hours, Trump's net worth went up $3.9 billion. Since it went public, Trump's wealth has gone up $8 billion.
I was going to say, as the number I saw, $8 billion. Now he's back in the top 500 richest men in the world category.
Yep. Yes.
You know what you got to say about this man is
it's providence.
He needed this crap like he needed another hole in his head, dude. And if you think he's in there for any other reason but just trying to save us from ourselves,
yeah, you're fucking deluded.
You're fucking delusional, because this guy, he needed this bullshit like he needed another hole in the head, dude. You're talking about a guy who had fuck off money for generations.
Yeah.
And why the man puts himself in this situation, I have no idea, but God love him, because he's the last hope we got right now, man. I honestly believe it.
For sure.
And I mean, people love to project thoughts into people's heads. So they're like, well, he's a narcissist, so he's doing it for the power trip. And I'm like, I mean, maybe I can't tell you you're wrong, because I don't know what he's thinking, but you can't say that you're right, because you don't know what he's thinking either. I would say that would be one hell of a mental disorder to do something that crazy when he needed it like another fucking hole in the head. Like, no reason to be going through all this bullshit other than the reasons why he's saying, which is to save this country from itself. Like,
I have learned one thing in my life from being a people watcher, and a listener of people.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because I think people are very interesting in a lot of different ways.
And you have that in common. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the very first thing I learned this years ago, and it's a thing that everybody already knows, but they don't realize to the depths of which they know it. And I'll give you an example. You already, when a spouse accuses you of cheating, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
My mind? What the fuck are you talking about?
Or they're cheating on you.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
So here's the thing. This is an old thing that people have done for the longest time. Self-projection. And so when you hear these people, these pundits, these people on the fucking news that call themselves news people or journalists or anything else, they're all scumbags.
Right.
But when they're out there and they say, well, Donald Trump would obviously use this for power to wield it against his political enemies. No, that's what you
do.
That's exactly what you would do. And the reason that we know that's exactly what you would do is because you're fucking championing it right now.
Mhm. I
You're
say
all
it all the
about
time. A liar always thinks everybody's lying. A thief always thinks somebody's gonna steal from them.
Yep.
It's just people you're right. That's 100 you nailed it on the head right there, man.
Yeah.
It's projection. Because like I said, this guy doesn't need this bullshit. He could have
No,
continued with his reality TV shows and his WrestleMania crap and, like, his
he could have been buying and selling property,
investing his money in real estate like he's been doing his whole life, and
watching Baron grow up, maybe playing with his grandkids, having the fucking guy is a golf god. Okay. He's got a great game. He could be out there just playing on seniors tours and stuff, having
chilling,
a blast,
chilling.
hanging with the boys in the clubhouse.
And you know what the funny part is if he had just been doing that, none of these people had a fucking shit to say.
You'd never even
All
hear his
these
name.
rape allegations,
Oh my
all this
God, dude.
bullshit that's coming out of everywhere. You'd
And
never heard anything about it.
when you look at the fucking troglodytes making these allegations, dude.
It's classic smear cat tactics, man. They are this whole situation, if nothing else, because as the saying goes, when it comes to Trump, it's all baked into the cake. You either love the guy or you hate the guy. There's no really in between with this guy.
Sure.
And no matter what your take is on the man, at the end of the day, if nothing else, this man has exposed how corrupt our government and our media and
Yeah.
our and corporate in the corporations that are running these two things, our
Yes.
government and our media, how corrupt they really are.
That
Because when you didn't get invited to the big kid table and you just took your seat, look what they did to him, man. Look what they're doing.
I've said this since in 2016. Actually, probably 16 is the first time I really noticed it. But in 15, he was hitting them in the head with hammers. And I said, boy, he has really forced the fucking media to pull their masks off, dude.
Mhm.
There is no hiding now.
Yep.
None. I mean, and they try. They still try. You got this Chuck Todd queer on TV now going around saying, well, we can't have Ron. Listen, I'm no defender of Rona McDaniel. I think she should have been ousted out of the RNC a long time ago, but she got hired by NBC. And now Chuck Todd and the other one that's nuts, mad out there, the lesbian lady,
Mhm.
they're throwing fits. No, we can't have somebody like that here. She's trying to undermine us and has been trying to undermine us and blah 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 blah. They just don't want to hear another voice in there. And they're afraid that if she comes in, she might say something that somebody that's not lost their mind can say, "Oh, wait a second, she's right." You
Well,
know?
it's so obvious and apparent to me too. And the thing of it is, like, you don't have to even be an expert in any of this stuff. You don't even have to dig deep. You just have to have
Right.
a brain, eyes, and ears, and just see. And the fact that these people, and I'm not even talking about the people that are actually doing it now. What I'm referring to is here, us,
Right.
Americans, ground level, grassroots people. You see them, just the rhetoric they're spewing is just so like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, how is this not so obvious to you how corrupt this is? Like I said, I'm not saying you got to love the guy. You can hate him all you want. I'm just saying at least hate him for a good reason,
It's a fucking mind
something
virus.
factual.
It's
Yeah,
a
have
mind
have
virus.
something
'Cause,
factual.
dude, but look at them though. They're when they're talking, these people are talking, it's like they read it out of a manual,
Right.
like some kind of
It's always the same
manifesto.
talking point.
It's always the same. And the thing is when you call them out on that, they start bringing up old talking points that have already been debunked, and now you got to go back into that
Or they
fucking.
bring it off into another little world, like they start sidestepping and they go like what it is, what is the term? It is there's a psychological term for it. It's not gaslighting, but it's like that. So anyway, so
Right.
what it really is like you can never keep. Oh, it's when you're dealing with a arguing with a sociopath.
Oh
What I
yeah.
was referring to. It was a book I read. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember who it was. It was a long time ago. But what they were talking about is when you're arguing with a sociopath, how to argue with them, because what they're always going to try to do is they're always going to try to move the argument somewhere else.
Right.
So once they know that you got them, like they're trying to make a point. Normal debate.
Sure.
You have an opinion. I have an opinion. You're seeing something certain way. I'm seeing something certain way. I'm explaining to you why I see it that way. And the
Right.
way you're saying that you see it, assuming you're losing the debate, is obviously falling apart. Like I'm showing you like, okay, this is not really what's happening here. You know what I mean? What you're saying
Sure.
is untrue. and here's facts to back up why what you're saying is untrue. Now, people get a bruised ego. They usually don't take it well at first. The seed has been planted. They go home, they lick their wounds, they think about what you said, and then you talk to them a week later and they've changed their mind, most likely, if they're reasonable.
Some people,
This is, that's like, oh, well, we're talking about something Joe Biden's doing, right? In a debate. I start proving my point. You immediately jump to something Trump did 2 years ago in comparison. And I'm like, well, what does that have to do with what we're talking about now? That doesn't mean, I'm not debating that topic with you right now. I'm debating this. And then it drags you down the rabbit hole. So then you start debating that topic. And then when you start proving them wrong on that topic, then they jump to the next thing. Oh, well, did you see what this person did that was racist and blah, 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 blah. And then, you know what I mean? And it's just constantly jumping from one topic to the next, one person to the next. So you just get lost in the jungle of their bullshit. And you can never pinpoint down like an exact point with them.
I don't do that. This is what I do to these motherfuckers when they do that. When I say something to them like, Joe Biden, blah, 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 or whomever, and the only person they ever come back with is Trump, but they don't ever use another example of anybody else.
Not really.
It's always Trump, right? And I say, wait. So now what you're doing is you're pointing to bad behavior in defense of bad behavior.
Right.
And they're like, well, no. I'm like, well, yes. Because you're saying, well, Trump did it, so it's okay that he's doing this.
Right. So you're saying what Trump did was egregious. So therefore it's okay Joe Biden does the same thing that's egregious.
Sure.
And then let's talk about how the thing you said Trump did actually didn't happen.
Well, even that doesn't even matter.
I know it doesn't matter to them.
Principle.
Right.
And then here's the thing, and I always throw it at him. He's like, no, I never said that thing that you said wasn't bad about Trump. Maybe I did. Maybe I agree with you that, but we can agree or we can disagree on what Trump did and still look at what Biden did or is doing and say that's bad.
Right.
And if you can't do that, and they never can, then you're lost. There's nothing left inside of you because you're not having independent thought anymore.
No, you're programmed to think whatever about whoever.
It's right. You're excusing bad behavior with bad behavior by saying, well, it's equal to itself, so I must not have to really care about it. Well, then you don't care about Trump's then. So shut the fuck up.
Bad Trump headlines are bountiful.
Yeah.
And before I know any facts about it, and someone says, did you hear Trump did this? And I'm like, oh, well, that's fucked up. That's my first response. I'm like, well, that's fucked up if he did that. And in the back of my head, because I don't have the facts, so I can't debate. So I just say, okay, wow, that's really fucked up. He did that, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, back of my head, I know once I go look up whatever they're talking about, 9 times out of 10, it turns out to be bullshit. But okay, if that's what he did, I agree with you. That's fucked up. And that's exactly what you're saying. Like, you nailed that on the head right there. Like we were talking about earlier with Steven Crowder. Like, he is a self-proclaimed conservative. I have my doubts with the way some of the behavior he's been exhibiting.
Sure.
His show Change My Mind was very, very important to the conservative movement. He's still a piece of shit. Doesn't matter. Like, he could do all these great things and still be a POS or have done bad things. If not nothing else, maybe I had a bad moment or whatever. Not talking about Steven Crowder specifically, but somebody.
People in general.
Right.
People, listen, evil.
I don't have to agree with everything the person says or does.
Evil people can still do good things.
Correct.
Good people can still do evil things.
Yes.
I'm not looking for a fucking saint, but if you're going to put yourself out on a public platform where you put yourself in lots of cases superior to others in the way you present yourself and your arguments, which is fine because it's not like it's more of an intellectual superiority. You cannot sit there with moral superiority over me when you act the way you do.
Correct. And support the people that you support in a way that's where they're untouchable.
Sure.
That's the problem I have at the left. Like, Trump does a gaffe, I'll call it. I'll say, yep, that was a bad take. Not a good look, Donnie. Not a good look.
Sure.
But
not a good look.
Joe Biden can literally do no wrong to these people.
That's my point.
Yeah, I know that's your point. That if anything else, that is the thing we need to be ramming home here as a conservative movement is we need integrity in our argument. You need to call people out when they need to be called out.
Sure.
Regardless of their political ideologies. And as long as we have the integrity in the argument, then there's no reason we shouldn't win.
Right.
Other than they're cheating.
Well, and they are. And
Yeah,
every chance they get, they do. So.
Yeah. But all things being equal, there's no reason you should lose as long as there's integrity in your argument, you know.
That's true.
I mean, Joe Biden, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Voted against integrated schools. That was known to be affiliated with certain KKK members back in the day. I mean,
yeah, I mean, he's a mess.
And the resume like that just goes on and on and on and on and on. But Donald Trump is racist because what?
Words.
A dog whistle?
It's so stupid.
A nuclear missile in a hurricane?
When you have to start
inject bleach, like everything that they come up with is just complete propaganda. It's like it never happened, or it's like you're taking one little sound bite out of something he said. Like the bloodbath thing. We did a show about that. The bloodbath thing. It's like, guys, come on. Like, have a reason to think the way you think, for God's sakes. I mean, besides some bullshit headlines.
You're making up stuff to make him look bad at this point. I mean, you're just making it up.
Right.
It's ridiculous. There's a Run Don't Walk Productions on YouTube. The guy Andrew, I think's his name. He does these presentations. He literally just did one about how they're misconstruing, and he frames. He shows you all the examples of how they cut and they edit the film to make Trump sound deliberately bad.
Yeah,
and it's astounding. And I said, when this really started, and it actually, when it got caught. It probably started a long time ago, but it got caught when during the Trayvon Martin thing, because NBC edited the video to make it sound like that guy said the N-word.
Right. I remember that.
Which was not true.
Right.
Because the police then released the entire audio, and when someone cleaned it up, he's like, that's not what he said.
Right.
But NBC had convinced and riled up all these black communities. And rightfully so. You can't be thinking there's some racist guy shooting black kids. And that's what the media tried to paint.
It rile some people up for sure, but when it's propaganda, it's by design to destabilize society.
And Obama stuck his big fucking mouth right in it.
Oh,
if I had a son, he'd probably look like Trayvon. Oh. No, he wouldn't. First of all, you're half white. Second of all, we all know you're gay.